What's up, everybody? It's Chris Wright, Real Estate Happy Hour. It's more like a coffee happy hour. So, if you're joining me, if you missed the beginning of this, I'm going to save it to Facebook. It'll be on YouTube. We'll also be in podcast version. And don't forget to like and subscribe and give me 5 stars for my effort. This is not an easy endeavor, coming before you guys, being vulnerable, answering questions, but I get so many questions in my mailbag, or I call it a mailbag. It's actually inbox. I get emails, I get text messages, and then I write those down and keep them because you never know when those questions are going to come up again. And if you guys want to join in and answer any of the questions on your own, feel free. I don't mind comments. Sure, we'll go from there. Anyway, happy President's Day. I believe it's a holiday. I didn't even realize it till last night. I guess this is the day that we honor our presidents throughout history. Um, and then we just enjoy the day off. If you have the day off, great. Hopefully, you're home having coffee, watching the Today Show or whatever program you like, and enjoying your kids, making a lot of noise, getting on your damn nerves. What are you doing? Are you going on vacation for the week? School's out, or are you going to just sit home and Netflix and chill? I don't know. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to work. I'm in real estate, so I really didn't take this week off. I always forget about. Let me ask you a question. I have a dilemma. Do you actually take a week off from work and go on vacation when the kids are out, or do you just work as normal and let the kids fend for themselves? I've always looked at it as a day. I know growing up, my parents never took time off when school was out, so I never even thought to do that. But then I see on Facebook and other social media where people are actually taking days off and going on vacations and camping trips, and not some, especially during the winter break. I never thought of doing something like that. So happy President's Day. I hope that you're going to enjoy the week with the kiddos. Anyway, so I came up with this idea that I wanted to answer some questions live, and I'll be doing this. I got so many. I probably got about 50, but today I'm only going to do about 8 to 10. I'm not sure. It depends on how long this goes. I got an appointment at 11, so I'm going to get out of here in a short period of time. But I wrote down some of these questions, and I wanted to answer them live and kind of make this a series of the Real Estate Happy Hour, which is my podcast and YouTube video, and see if I can help people out there. I know on TikTok people are like, that's some good information, good advice. I have a lot of real estate friends out there. Please chime in if you think I'm answering it incorrectly or you have something to add. By all means, I'm not going to get too detailed on the answers. Just very high level surface answers that anybody can understand. All right, so let's jump right in. So question number one, the person said, "I'm torn between buying a fixer upper and a move-in ready home. Which option would you provide better long-term value?" That's an age-old dilemma. Let me break it down for you. So a fixer-upper, think sweat equity, think customization, and lots of money. And when I say lots of money, it means that you really, really need to do your research on how much things cost, whether you're going to do it yourself, whether you're going to get a contractor to help out, contractor time restrictions, when can they be at the house, how long is your house going to be in disarray, dusty, plastic covering all over the place, when will you get your house back, when will you be able to move in. Those are some of the things you want to think of when it comes to a fixer-upper. But definitely think that it's a project and whether you're going to enjoy it. Now, move-in ready, that's instant gratification. When my wife and I bought our house, it was already renovated. We didn't have to do anything, but it was all updated, granite countertops, hardwood flooring, new sheetrock throughout, well painted. And at the time, I wasn't handy, so it would have cost me a lot of money. I did hire a contractor to do the sheetrock in my basement, build me some shelving and things like that. But I had to get back to work, so I really didn't have a lot of time to be messing around with DIY projects. I did those later as I was in the place, watched a lot of YouTube videos, and I didn't mess with anything that was electrical or plumbing or the hard stuff. So just remember, and a long-term value was part of the question. Both can be winners depending on your style and your budget. It's like, choosing between a DIY adventure or whether you want instant comfort. So whatever your flavor is, go for that. All right. So the next question was, how can I determine if a property is a good investment for rental income? Everybody wants to get into rental income. And you know what? It's really, really good. But make sure you know what you're doing. It's $1 million question. It comes up all the time. So here's the scoop. Look for locations with, high rental demand and strong growth potential. Do you want to, buy an investment property in an area or a location that's like, you don't hear a lot of people wanting to move there? What's around it? What type of activities? Are there any good restaurants? Or is it rural? All these things need to be taken into consideration. And then what's the growth potential? Um, you want to, crunch those numbers, compare rental incomes in the area, and then, compare those rental incomes to expenses, for cash flow. Um, and you just want to make sure that you're going in a positive direction with cash flow. Um, Scope out properties with low maintenance costs and, desirable amenities, if that's a thing in that area. Don't forget to factor in potential vacancies and, market fluctuations, market fluctuations. Um, and then just make sure you got a keen eye for smart strategy. You might be able to snag a rental property in fairly good time, but they're hard to come by. Really, really good rental properties. If you're a real estate agent and you're watching this, you know that you work with some investors that need to look at a lot of properties. And that just means that they're doing their homework and they want to make sure they're going to get the best bang for their buck. How much work needs to go into fixing up the property to make it, a good rental for a customer. All right. Um, Another question I got is, what are the pros and cons of investing in commercial real estate versus residential real estate? So let me start right from the beginning. I am not well versed in commercial real estate. I do have people that I work with that are really well versed in commercial real estate, but that's not me. What I do know and what I can tell you is that commercial real estate offers, potentially higher returns um, and longer leases, but it does come with higher upfront costs, and there's more complex management. That's all I really can tell you about commercial real estate. Now, residential real estate, on the other hand, really good at that. Um, it boasts a more stable demand. Always going to be customers for rental revenue, and it's easier financing to buy, but it just may yield lower returns and shorter leases. It's like comparing skyscrapers to a cozy home. So each of them has their perks and pitfalls, and your choice is going to depend on your investment goals and what your risk tolerance is, if that makes sense. Hope I answered that question. All right. Next question is, I'm considering selling my home myself. Real estate agents don't like you. But you want to save on commissions, of course. So, what are the risks and benefits compared to using a real estate agent? All right, I'll answer this fairly. Um, the FISBOs, we call them FISBOs, for sell by owners. It's a bold move. Now, here's the scoop. The benefits is, yes, you can pocket the full sell price agent commissions. It gives you more control over the negotiations and the timing. But the risk, and there are risks, you're going to need to handle all of the marketing, paperwork, legalities yourself. And that can be time consuming and daunting. And without a real estate agent expertise, you might miss out on some marketing insights or market insights and optimal pricing strategies. The one thing that we notice as real estate agents is that whenever we see FISBOs, the prices are just usually way off because you use things like Zestimates. You also go to realtor.com or one of the websites online and figure out what price it should be. Or you're looking at what property sold over a long period of time. Someone may go, well, my neighbor sold his house 5 years ago for this price, or he sold his house during the pandemic and he got this amount, so I think I'm going to get this amount. You really, really need a better pricing strategy than that. And a real estate agent can help you. If you have a real estate friend or cousin or relative, someone like that, they may help you. But if you just reach out to a real estate agent and say, I want to sell my house on my own, um, it's very unlikely that they're willing to help you because we want listings and we would really like to market your house and give you good strategies and alleviate the pain of doing it yourself, if that makes sense. All right. Um, and you know what? I actually had some slides. So that's the one I was on. I forgot about my lines to make this more professional. But doing this FISBOs, it's like, navigating uncharted waters by yourself. It's exciting, but it's risky. As soon as you do it, you're going to be happy. But over a couple of days, or you get so many calls and inquiries, people knocking on your door, phones ringing, you're at work, you're trying to navigate this whole thing of selling it on your own. You might decide, you know what, maybe it's better to get a real estate agent and help me with this. So if you want to be a guide on your own, rock on. But again, I don't always recommend it. All right. What is the next question? How do I navigate the complexities of buying property in a seller's market? So that was really a big problem during 2020 and 2021. There was tons and tons of multiple offers. So I'm not going to talk about the frenzy, the crazy times. I want to talk about the complexities of buying in a seller's market during a normal time. We call it "Welcome to the Wild World of buying in a seller's market." So here's your survival guide. You want to act fast. All right. Properties do fly off the shelves, especially the good ones, the desirable ones, as they say. So be prepared to make quick decisions. You want to come in strong, make your offers competitive, and make sure you have a solid down payment. And always, always, always have a pre approval letter. You can't negotiate without the funds to do this. So make sure that you have a pre approval letter first. Be flexible. You want to consider a compromise on contingencies, closing times, and make sure you can sweeten the deal a little bit. Also, stay patient. And, it's a tough market, but the right opportunities will come along. Just keep your eyes peeled and think of it like a high stakes game of house hunting roulette. All right. But, for buyers, buying in a seller's market is tough. It can be fast paced, it can be thrilling, but it can also, like I said, it can be fun. So there's that. So, what's the next question? What are some strategies for negotiating a lower price on a property? Well, we all want a lower price, right? Um, call that the art of negotiation. So let's dive in here a little bit. Here's some savvy strategies. Do your homework. Research comparable sales in the area. You want to gauge, property value, true property value, not Zestimates, not some online quick answer. Just make sure that you know a true value. You can get help with that. Your real estate agent will typically help you with that as well. Start low. There's nothing wrong with starting low. Make an initial offer, below the asking price. Leave room for negotiation. You want to highlight some of the flaws when you go in the showing. Um, point out any issues or needed repairs just to justify the lower price. Because some people are always going to ask, hey, Chris, how did your client come up with that price? And I don't know. But if I understand, I can tell them what my client was looking at when we were walking to the house. You can sweeten the deal, as I said earlier, by, offering a quick closing. Um, Larger earnest money deposits help sometime. Flexible terms to entice the seller, whether they want to, they may need time to find a house after they sell or while their house is on the market. They may want to close in a shorter time. So figure how you can help them with the timing of that. You want to stay firm but friendly. You want to negotiate with confidence while maintaining a positive rapport with the seller. It's kind of like a dance, little give and take, but you want to, master the move. All right. What next? I'm interested in investing in real estate, but I have limited funds. Don't we all? Right? What are some creative financing options available to me? What are some creative financing options available to me? Now, some of these I'm going to mention you don't see often, but I'm going to throw them out there because people have asked me about them. So, house hacking, that's what most people do. They buy a multi-unit property, they live in one unit, and they rent out the others to cover the mortgage. That's the typical one. Then there's also seller's financing. You don't see that often, but depending on where it is, I usually see this in rural areas. I see this on mobile homes, but you can negotiate with the seller to finance the purchasing directly in bypassing traditional lenders. There's also assumable mortgages. Sometimes you can assume mortgages from people. Again, these are not things I see often, but you did ask for some ways to, for creative financing. You can partner up. If you, when I say partner up, that's like pooling resources with friends and families and investors. But just make sure that you get legal counsel and make sure that you have really, really good partners and people that you trust. And even though they're relatives and friends, still get a lawyer involved. Have pen and ink on paper to figure out the legalities of this. Friends can become enemies. Family can become enemies really quickly if you're partnering up in business. Um, what other lease options? When you can rent a property with an option to buy. That's something again that you don't see often. People contact me about rent to own all the time. I tell them another case where you want to get a lawyer involved. Make sure that the rent to own agreement is legal and that you understand what your rights and privileges are, and you just don't want to do that blind. Uh, but these situations will allow you to build some equity up and save for a down payment if you want to rent a property with the option to buy later. Also, not something you see often, but we'll see. All right, what else we got out there? Hard money loans, borrowing from private lenders or investor groups. um, that's typically higher interest rates, but it does provide faster approval and flexibility. People usually do this on fixer uppers or properties that need a lot of renovation. But all of this is like a real estate puzzle. You just got to find the right piece, and all your investment dreams, they'll fall into place. A lot of people want to do it, especially with Airbnb. Um, so just make sure that always get attorneys involved, get a real estate agent involved who's kind of familiar with this. And if that real estate agent is not familiar with this kind of stuff, they know people who are, probably more people than you do. All right, next question is how do I know if a neighborhood is up and coming or in decline before I buy property there? Now, this is a tricky one. Fair housing, um, we have to be very careful about what we say about neighborhoods. We don't have a crystal ball. We can't always forecast whether it's up and coming. However, we can direct you to some articles about different neighborhoods. I would say recommend reading local publications, looking at businesses that are opening. Usually, if commercial businesses are going in, it's probably a good indication or sign that a neighborhood is up and coming. If a neighborhood's declining, that usually means businesses are leaving, people are moving out. But that's not something that, as a real estate agent, I really want to get into, because then you could find yourself looking at redlining and things like that. And we want to make sure that fair housing is always fair housing, and we don't want to steer people to certain neighborhoods or away from neighborhoods. So, but again, there is no crystal ball. But let's see if there's a way to gauge some of these trajectories. So as I talked about, there's development indicators. Look for signs of growth, like new businesses, construction projects, or revitalization efforts. There's also demographic shifts. Pay attention to population trends, um, income levels, educational opportunities, what schools are doing, things like that. Crime rates. As a real estate agent, I'm not allowed to talk about crime rates, but there's also, you can check local crime statistics, um, talk to residents about safety and concerns. But those are things, look at police blotters, things like that. But those are things that As a real estate agent, I just have to be very, very careful talking about crime statistics. There's also community engagement. What's going on in that community? Attend some neighborhood meetings, visit local events, chat with neighbors to gauge community spirit. Try and get an idea of what that community is like. And then there's the real estate market trends. Monitor property values, rental rates, days on market. You want to be able to assess demand and investment potential. So it's kind of like like reading tea leaves. Interpret the signs, and you can figure out what these neighborhood trends are. All right. Hope that helps. All right. What else we got? Next question is, what factors should I consider when deciding whether to rent or sell my current home when moving to a new area? Tricky. So once again, we're going to go back to market conditions. Consider the demand for rentals and sell prices in your current area. Sounds like a simple, easy question, but you do have to consider that. We talked about rental rates, rental prices, and also what's going on in your market as far as selling. Are a lot of people selling now, or do you see a lot of people moving in? Is it a buyer's market or is it a seller's market? That's going to help you determine that question. Also compare potential rental incomes to the proceeds from selling, if that makes sense. You want to see if that aligns with your long-term goals and your objectives. Then there's property management. Determine if you're willing to handle the landlord responsibilities, because a lot of times you'll think it's easy, but if you work a full-time job and you're taking phone calls from tenants and things like that, you may decide that you want a hands-off approach. Also, with a lot of landlords, I used to live next door to my landlord. Now, I didn't abuse this privilege, but if something went, I just knocked on his door. And luckily, he was very nice about it. But what if you live in a 4-unit? Do you want people always knocking on your door or texting you or bothering you in the middle of the night because there's a leak or the dishwasher's not working? Sometimes you want to put that stuff off to a property manager. All right. I don't know. You have to determine how much you're willing to take on. And then that's the same thing with short-term rentals like Airbnbs or VRBOs. You have to determine if you're willing to handle those landlord responsibilities or if you want a hands-off approach. Then there's tax implications. I don't give tax advice, but so you want to consult with a financial advisor, to understand all the tax consequences of renting versus selling. And then what are your future plans? Think about your timeline. Are you staying in the area? Are you moving out? Do you plan on staying here very long? I know there's a mass exodus from the state of New York. That's what I hear. That's what they tell me. I'm not going anywhere. But what are your future housing needs as well? Do you want to maintain ties to this current area? Do you own a business here? Do you have a long-term commitment with your job? It's like real estate chess. You just have to strategize your move wisely, and then you may come out on top. Hope I answered your question. What's the next one? I'm interested in flipping houses, but I'm worried about unexpected expenses. How can I budget effectively for renovations? So this is a tough one. Flipping, a lot of people want to do it until they do it. They think it's a great idea until it's not. It's a roller coaster. So make sure you do thorough inspections. Conduct a detailed inspection before purchasing. Uncover potential issues. Like a lot of investors, they'll buy properties sight unseen, or they'll waive inspections. Not that I recommend that, especially if you're a new investor. But that's one of the ways that they can beat the frenzy of all these people who are in the market to buy flips. But if you're a new investor, you definitely want to do inspections and let the seller know that you're not going to ask them to repair anything, but this contract is contingent upon inspection, just in case you need to pull out. All right. So that's something that you want to do. You just want to. The big one is the things that are underground, like septic systems and wells. You don't want to buy a house and you have one budget in mind, but then you determine that you have to replace a $20,000 septic system. All right. The other thing you want to do is you want to set up a contingency fund. Set aside 10 to 20% of your renovation budget for unexpected expenses. You may say, well, your contractor who walked the house with you told you this is going to be about $50,000. Well, increase that another 10 to 20% for those surprises and unexpected expenses. Then you want to prioritize upgrades. If you really, really want a good flip and you want it to sell fast and you want that initial look from custom. If you just throw some paint up and replace some doors and windows, that might not be enough. But if you want to replace the flooring and get nice countertops and replace the sinks and get good bathroom fixtures, anything that's going to just sparkle, shine, those are the upgrades that's really going to sell that flip quickly. Focus on, some of the essential repairs and the high impact improvements that add value without breaking the bank. You also want to get multiple quotes, not only on the contractor, but materials. Make sure that you get a contractor who don't just have one resource for materials. Make sure they're shopping around and getting the best prices for lumber and countertops and cabinets and things like that, flooring. So just make sure you shop around for not only contractors, but also suppliers. Your contractor may have one supplier and he or she may get a really good price, but make sure you look for suppliers too. So you can say, hey, I want to use this place for flooring because I found a really good price per square foot. All right. Make sure that you track expenses because contractors, and this is no shade to contractors, but there are contractors out there who say, I need $10,000 up front to start. All right. You want a detailed accounting of what that $10,000 is for. Where's it going? All right. And then get a line item of that $10,000. If there's a large gap, if he says, well, 5,000 is for materials and 5,000 is for the first leg of work that I need to do. And this is extremely important if you're getting private lending money or hard money, because the hard money lender want to know, they may give it to you in draws. So they want to know what the first phase of this money is going. All right. So make sure that you have a detailed accounting and you're tracking where all the funds are going. So track the expenses. All right. I know people who lost a lot of money not tracking expenses. They'll give their contractor $20,000. They'll come back 3 weeks later and go, okay, I need another 20. Well, what happened to the first 20? Because I haven't seen any work done and I haven't seen any materials come to my house. And guess what they'll do? They'll get mad and they'll walk off the job and you've lost $20,000. And if you're doing hard money, you're still responsible for that first draw of money. So make sure that everybody knows where the money is going. All right. So keep meticulous records of all renovation costs. You want to monitor spending and identify areas for saving money. And by the way, the fluctuation of saving money can happen throughout the project. That's why you don't want your contractor, or you don't want to buy too many supplies up front. Because what if a 2x4 is $3.46 today, but it's $2.20 next week or next month? Guess what? You could have saved $1 per, piece of lumber over a period of time. So don't buy too much flooring. It's the same way, a room at a time, maybe. If you think you're really, really getting a good deal, and a contractor may push back on me on this, but if you think you're really getting a good deal by buying it all up front and it's just an outrageous price because the contractor forecast crystal ball is saying you'll never get a better price than this, then go ahead and buy it all up front. But make sure you get sound advice before doing that. But overall, it's like building this financial fortress, one piece at a time, one nail at a time. And you want to just be very, very careful planning and make sure you have a smart budget. All right. All right. That's all I'm going to go through today. I think, how much time have I used? Yeah, 36 minutes. This was perfect, guys. So hopefully that I've been able to answer some of those questions in my mailbag. And I'm going to do this from time to time just helping out. Again, this is the live edition. I'll always go live when I will have these mailbag questions. But other than that, you guys have a great day. That's the end of the live show. And I will talk to you guys later. Y'all have a happy President's Day. Take care.